So I want to try and look at this through an artistic lens.
Right.
Do you feel like you understand how music marketing works now that you've been a marketer for so long?
It's so different. I feel like I probably, if I was talking to someone who just did that, I would maybe understand more how it works than just like, the average person. But it's so different. Like each sort of type of marketing sort of exists in its own little world. And I feel like with music marketing, I don't know, I feel like so much of it is luck as well with music too. So I don't know. I'd have to talk to someone who was just doing music marketing. We actually do. I just realized we're doing work for Shepherd. You know the band Shepherd.
Yep.
We're doing some work for them at the moment, and we're not working with like their PR teams at all because obviously the band has their own and like the label has their own. But I kind of want to talk to them, obviously, at some point because it'd be super valuable to talk to someone like that for free.
Definitely. Who do you work for in that situation?
So we work for their manager.
Yeah.
So he hired us. And what we did was we just rebuilt their website and we've sort of set up Klaviyo, which is like an email marketing platform, to send emails about, merch and like tour dates and that sort of thing when people shop on site, reminding them to purchase and that sort of thing. So that's sort of like our bread and butter where we sit of like, everything on-site experience and then obviously everything after that, trying to get them to a purchase. So it's sort of quite a separate thing. But yeah, I think they really liked the website. So I'm sort of like, come into the office, like the whole band. And then like, I'd love to sit down and chat to them about, what's worked for them and how they made it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so different?
Why do I think it's different? Well, in my case, there's like maybe it's not that different. I don't know. I feel like what I guess what I'm trying to say is doing what I do, I couldn't just grab that and just apply it to.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been working in sales and have had to understand how a lot of, like, I love reading about marketing and strategies, and I've got a million books on stuff that works for if you're selling a product.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it works when you try and apply that to music, I find.
Right.
Personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I want to hear more about, in your opinion, why, like, if we can connect some dots as to why that might not work.
Would be. Well, yeah, for us, obviously, it is all sort of product focused as well. And it's all online products as well. So because we can sort of track, we've got a lot of data based on customer behavior that we can have a look at. We can sort of, digest that and then we'll write a strategy around that of, if say someone's like, lots of people are adding things to their cart and then they're just going away. Well, we can have a look at what their on-site journey has been and sort of what are the products that they're abandoning, that sort of stuff. And so then from there, I can be like, okay, well, maybe they're abandoning because the shipping threshold is like $200 and they've got $150 in the cart. So that's like a really easy insight to be like, cool, well, let's just give them free shipping. And then, we'll see the data change and then they're buying. So I feel like that's something that, because we have access to all of that data all the time and there's like thousands of people and we work across lots of different accounts too, you can kind of make sense of, or you can create a strategy around it. Whereas I guess, well, definitely for me, I mean, I haven't done a lot of personal marketing for my own music ever. I think that's because I work in marketing though, because I'm kind of like, I'm not doing it for myself. You don't have the data based on like your listeners or, anything like that. That's not something that just, you've written a song in your bedroom kind of, and then you're like, well, how am I going to know who's going to like this kind of thing? Because you don't have access to that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about this recently.
Right.
And I think so much of what we're selling in music is we are alike. Mm-hmm. Like we share the same values.
Yep.
And you like my music.
Yep.
So you might see me online and you go, I really like this person or I really hate this person. Mm-hmm. But I think you need to create that one or the other. You need to create that divisiveness for people to decide that they really like you.
Yeah, right.
Then they've got to hear your music and go, actually, this music's really good. Mm-hmm. But without the values thing, like without shared values, I think it's really hard to sell.
Yeah. Okay.
Because normal marketing, right?
Yeah.
We're just solving a problem.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the problem? Here's the solution.
Yeah.
Here's a funnel.
Yep.
Problem, solution, close, checkout, done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just can't do that
Yeah, that's so true.
with music.
Yeah.
Like, and if you just try and push music like that, I find it just flops.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you found that? Have you tried to do that?
Not really, because I'm like, I kind of have put music out there and been like, here I am.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I've thought in the past about, you know, why do I resonate with certain artists that I really like? And I think most of the time, yeah, like it's kind of exactly what you're saying, that I've sort of identified something about them that I like, and then that kind of draws me in, and then you see if you like the music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think we make decisions of, because again, music being good, so subjective, right?
Yeah.
Like something I might play a song for you today,
Yeah.
and you might be like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You're never going to listen to it ever again,
Yeah.
but I might love it.
Yeah.
And I might love that artist.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think a really big part of that is, what is that? What is that band representing?
Yeah.
And is that resonating with you or me or whoever at the time, right?
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, like what we were talking about before when we were saying that, you know, if you had a bunch of money, you could kind of do anything.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I feel there's a lot of artists, there's some that come to mind that it seems really obvious that they've had a bunch of money, and then like they've really worked on the branding of that artist rather than actually the music. And they've become, you know, extremely famous.
Correct.
Because people identify with the brand and the look and all of that. And then the music is kind of like there.
Correct.
You know? Yeah.
Why that's so important? Like, you still see 16-year-old girls wearing Metallica shirts they bought from Cotton On, right?
That was me.
Yeah.
But I actually listened to Metallica. So.
Yeah. But with the like, there's something about like what that represents of, you know, Metallica is so very, you know, like, how would you describe Metallica's brand? And why is it on a t-shirt and Cotton On?
Yeah, okay. So that is a little bit of a loaded question, because I do love Metallica. But I feel like, you know, through the 80s when they sort of first became famous, they were it was a newer sound at that time of like a bit more heavier. I wouldn't consider them heavy metal these days, but I think that was like kind of the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so they had like a bit of a grottier kind of branding, which I think would have appealed to, you know, a lot of young men at the time who were maybe a bit angry. And you kind of see that with lots of different bands. But now it's almost like they have, I guess, sold out in a way. Like the band seems like really like pretty and like put together and like, I don't know, really hype, obviously, because they're so rich and everything's like really neat and tidy and perfect. So I feel like young teenage girls could kind of listen to some of the newer music and be like, oh, this isn't that heavy. But it sort of, they still have that kind of like, what's the word? Rock kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking it's like, because I wonder if you're an 18-year-old girl and you buy a Metallica shirt, and you go, that looks really cool. It's what you're buying is the branding, right? You're buying the rebellious looking, like, totally. And tough looking thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's a values thing, is that when people think of Metallica, they think rebellious, they think tough, they think like strong. And that's why that brand has stood through the test of time.
Yeah.
Same way like Nike, right? Just do it.
Yeah.
Like that whole brand with everything that they do works so well because that resonates so much more with me. Like, I'm wearing a Nike shirt right now. Right. I'm not wearing an Asics shirt. And I actually kind of think Asics are kind of lame because I see runners wearing Asics and like 50-year-old men, accountants wearing Asics.
Yeah.
So I think that plays so much into music, more than I think we realize as we're artists, or at least.
It's like a bit of a tough pill to swallow, I think. I think you kind of think that if you're good enough, or you like, you know, you write a good enough song, that you would release it into the world and then, you know, people are just going to love it kind of thing. Because why wouldn't they? But sort of realizing that that's actually just like the smallest part of like the whole picture.
Absolutely.
Which, yeah, you know, that's why big, really famous artists have like whole crews that are just working on the branding side, you know, and like making sure they don't say the wrong things and stuff that, you know, would conflict with this kind of brand that they've
Correct.
created even. So,
because I was talking to one of the old guests about this exact thing. I was talking about the t-shirt thing, and I was talking about how like I do believe so much in that, because back in the day, right, before social media, your brand was protected really well because you had a marketing team, and the only the like behind the scenes stuff people saw was you on a couch like this in an interview with some, you know, on TV on Countdown or something, or like on Rage or something like that, right? That was how people got to know who you were. And it was a very edited, protected kind of thing.
So true.
And now we have to do that ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we make sure that we're creating the same, like, what are our values, and how do we project that to the world so that we can find those people that connect with us?
Yeah. Consistently.
Yeah, because there would have been, when Metallica were doing that thing, even though it was high budget, there still would have been people that loved it and people that hated it. It was a very divisive brand.
For sure.
And I think we've got to do the same thing online. We're just so scared of doing that online because it's on such a small scale.
Yeah.
And the first lot of people that we try that with and trial it with are the people that we're kind of 1 to 2 degrees of separation from. And then they start unfollowing us, and that kind of thing happens. And then we start, that self-doubt just creeps into our mind, right?
Yeah.
And we go, oh, maybe I shouldn't talk like that online.
Yeah.
Or maybe I shouldn't try that because I'm concerned how people are going to view me.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that $1 million budget to just put it out and get a whole bunch of raging fans back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. Like, so people are so vicious on social media as well. And I also feel like there's an element of, well, I don't want to put myself out there because I don't want like my peers to even see me trying to do this. I don't know if you
don't want to fail in front of it.
Yeah, I don't want to fail in front of people that you like personally know, like as well. So, you know, a lot of times I'm like, I don't have like a separate music Instagram, but I have thought about doing that because that way I could kind of just post on that all the time, and then no one that I actually know would ever see it.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
That's kind of what we're about to do.
Yeah, okay.
I've already made a new page.
I think it might be a good idea.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we did that. We were posting every day for, I think we got like 60 days with P Lounge.
Yep.
And yeah, we were like dropping followers instead of gaining followers.
Right.
Which was super interesting. But I thought like the close fans were like, this is awesome. This is great. Okay. This content's really, really good. But I think there was just something about it. I don't know. But that's why we were inspired to just start fresh. Because we can just post exactly what we want and start again. Yeah. And take everything that we've learned over the last couple of years and apply that to something new.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
Yeah. Have you done marketing for a personal brand before?
Not really. So the makeup artist that I talked about before, she is her own brand, I suppose, but she's got her own products. So like she is her own personal brand, and then she created these products that we try to get people to buy. But because it's all on site, it's once they get to the site, we kind of capture them and then we talk to them in, you know, different ways to try to get them to purchase. Someone else is like driving that traffic to the site. So the acquisition is done somewhere else, and we're kind of like the retention piece. So slightly different.
Because I think music is very much a personal brand. Like the same way an influencer is going to blow up. Yeah, is the same strategy that you'd have to use as a band.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I feel like every time I've ever posted anything, like even if it's just been a story, like when I used to do gigs in the Valley and stuff, I definitely had an idea of how I wanted to be perceived. And so I kind of always, I don't know, I sort of put on a little bit of a voice and stuff. And there's like a little bit of stuff that I do with my face as well. But like, that sounds weird. Just like,
get in the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. How good.
No.
Yeah.
I kind of am in character a little bit at the moment. Gonna have to walk into work like this later. Yeah, where I feel like I can't maybe on some level have known that if I can get people to connect with me in that way first, then that will entice them to actually give the music a go. Because I also feel like there's a lot of people that listen to music because they just listen to music and it's there. I want to talk to the people that are obsessed with music as I am. But to find them, I feel like you've got to also just appeal to the masses in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, marketing expert Georgia, if you had to, let's say you had an artist come to you tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
with money,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they said, "Hey, help me out. I want to get this. All I know is I love my song, and this is most musicians.
Yeah.
I've written the best song ever. It's the best song in the world.
Yeah.
How do I? I'm going to give you some money.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with
How are
that?
we going to do? What
Yeah,
are we going to
what
do?
we do.
Well, I'd want to make sure that they'd kind of like crafted their own, say it's like me, like it's just one person on their own. They'd crafted their own kind of identity. That would probably be the first thing I'd want to make sure, because like we've been talking about, that's sort of what people perceive first and decide whether or not they like it. So I'd want to make sure that they had really fleshed that out of who they are as an artist and how they separate that person from who they really are, which is actually why I've got the stage name, because it sort of helps me. My name is Georgia McDermott, but go by Georgia James if I'm doing any music. It helps me kind of break apart the two people. And yeah, I don't know, like feel like the artist more. So I'd want to make sure that they had that really nailed down, because yeah, if you're going to be in interviews, then you've got to be able to speak that way, like how you want to present yourself, the way that you dress, the way that you speak, whatever. I would want that really nailed down, because I think that makes it a lot easier to sell if you've got like a solid product there. And then from there, I guess maybe finding a niche almost in the space. So having the identity and then also finding a little niche would probably be a good way to go. I feel like that's also easier because it's like a better hook than, I feel like what's an example? Like there's a lot of bands that you'll listen to, like say maybe like screamo music or emo music. They all kind of sound the same, and then there's one that you'll sit up and listen to because they've sort of developed this identity and like a small niche or whatever it is in that genre, and then that's the one that you'll kind of hook into, sort of thing. So I'd want to like talk to them about that. I don't know. And then from there, I suppose I would get them to do a lot of little snippets, and I just spend a bunch of money on ads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
social
And
media ads.
so, would your ads be the music, or would your ads be the brand?
A mix of both.
Cool.
Definitely wouldn't always all be the music, because I feel like people's attention spans are so short that like scrolling and you see like band musician or whatever that you don't know singing or something, just keep scrolling. But if I don't know, if they're talking to you or something.
Well, it kind of feels same way with normal marketing,
Mm.
right? We want to kind of disguise that we're selling to people.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, check out my song. That's an instant like I'm being sold some bullshit.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, 100%.
If you're
Yeah,
scrolling and then you
definitely.
see, check out my song.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
There's some interesting, sorry, I
No, you go.
cut you off. There's been some interesting stuff that I've seen on TikTok that actually worked for me recently, where people have been like, you'll scroll and then it's just like written words being like, if you landed on this, you've got good music taste or something. And then it says something like, I'm such and such and I make this sort of music. And they've got the music, like the song, like playing over the top of this like sort of slideshow, not slideshow, it's like a carousel where you just like flick through the pictures of them.
There you go.
But that was really cool because you've kind of like complimented the person by being like, if you've found this, then you must have great music taste, because like we make this type of music and we're located here and blah blah blah, and like this is our latest release. And it worked. I saw it, I was like, that's cool. And then listening to the song, I was like, I like the song, so I followed them.
How interesting.
Cool. Pretty cool.
How would you make it better?
How would I make it better?
Because I think that's a good start, but I think you could make that better.
Mm.
That's a genius idea, though.
It's
because the
pretty cool.
carousels gives you that. The problem with music is it's not very like to really sink a hook in, you got to hear a hook a few times. So it's
Yeah.
going to take 20 to 30 seconds
Yeah.
minimum
You're
for
right.
you to like that song. So
Mhm.
Carousel,
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah. Yeah. How would I make it better? I don't know. Maybe just doing variants of the same ad. So to test which was going to be the better version. So if it's Carousel and it's like pictures of the band or who you are or whatever, and then another one is like spoken to the camera, like if you landed on this, like, and it's actually the person speaking, you know, you've got great music taste, blah blah blah. So I would maybe do
Was it a video?
variants. Yeah, it was a video,
Yeah.
but just like
Were they all videos or videos and photos?
like, you know how on TikTok you can have just photos?
Or
And
the
it's like
carousel?
yeah, on the
Yeah, yep.
carousel. So that was the original one that I saw. But I think, yeah, if I was going to try to make it better, I would do different versions of it. So maybe one of them would actually be a video of the artist talking to the camera.
Absolutely.
And I'd want to see. Yeah.
How do you think it would go if rather than just saying, because any of that text on there, the whole point of that text is to connect with that person. So instead of going, I think if you found this, you've got great music taste. Awesome. 10 out of 10. Next step would be, how do we make this person feel like they share the same values as us? Apart from we're based in Brisbane and we write this type of music. I see when people go, we sound like this, this, and this. I think that's a good values thing because it goes, if you like Linkin Park, I like Linkin Park. We're going to love the same type of music. So as an artist, I guess it depends what the brand would be, but what other value things could you use?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think if we go back to the Metallica thing, it's really easy at the moment if you were to, let's say you tried to, again, this is a little bit, you wouldn't want to do this not genuinely, but if you were to jump on some type of trend or some type of like, you know, if you were to jump on something that already is a little bit decisive for people. So I'll say one that's not too decisive. Maybe you were a vegan band. There was a band that did this. Who was this? There was a band that there was a metal band, and their whole thing was In Heart's Wake.
Wow.
Do you remember this?
No.
In Heart's Wake. They're a metal band. They're all vegan.
Wow.
And they're all like conservationists. And they make sure that each one of those touch points, they do that. So I remember part of their marketing, they were on Sunrise talking about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
love
that it was all environmentally correct. Environmentally correct. But that
Environmentally
basically
friendly.
Yeah, exactly. That was the idea. Everything was like on brand. So the idea would be, if you were a metal vegan band, on that you'd be like, awesome. If you found this, you've got great tastes. We all love the environment, and we write music about that.
Yeah.
That would be stronger than just going, we live in Brisbane, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So I think the idea would be to circle back to what you were saying before, work out what your brand is.
Yeah.
And then make sure that you are connecting back to that
All
consistently,
the time.
right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like we were saying before, people, you know, typically in the past have had full branding teams and that sort of thing. And these days it's like not really, you know, unless you actually are someone. But trying to remember to do that all the time, like be authentic to the brand and always reinforce that all the time, particularly if you're not someone that has ever worked in marketing either, or even in sales. Trying to remember to do that is difficult when you don't have someone constantly being like, is this on brand? Is this on brand? Is this on brand? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But not to mention all the extra stuff that artist bands have to do these days as well to promote themselves. Like, you know, you working out how to do the podcast and stuff, like that's not like a small feat. Like you can't just do it. And then the same with like creating content for the band or for an artist. Like you've got to learn how to edit things. You've got to learn like what shots look like.
Absolutely.
All that stuff that's not just known, you know?
Even just having a brand, like
Yeah.
like understanding what branding is
Mhm.
and how to be congruent with that brand.
Yeah, for sure.
That took years.
Yeah.
Literally years to work that out.
Absolutely.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I think about all the time of how important it is to stay congruent with that brand as
Yeah.
well. And that's why, like you were just saying, you got to make sure that the brand that you pick, you can stay congruent with.
Yeah.
My favorite story about incongruence is the whole like Tiger Woods thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
know what I'm talking
that
about?
he had that affair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because why that was so bad is
Yeah.
because in the public eye, he was this, incredible, wholesome person.
Yeah.
And then he had the affair and that ruined his career.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone in the UFC who's a shit talker
Mm.
had an affair, they'd be fighting the next weekend.
Yeah.
And no one would care.
Yeah.
But it's the
Probably adds to it.
incongruence. Yeah, correct. It's if you've got this really, and you see it all the time. It happens all the time. Well, that's basically when people cancel each other at the moment as well, and more so like you see like people from the left will cancel other people from the left because of that incongruence.
Yes.
And people are having to do these apology videos,
Yeah.
which is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That but people do that because they feel so like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm congruent again.
Yeah.
And what'll normally happen is they'll never kind of recover because of how full on that niche of like that super, super crazy left wing politics is.
Yeah.
They'll just cancel the shit out of each other.
I know. It's actually very sad because it's kind of like you're not left enough kind of thing.
Correct.
It's like,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it doesn't matter what your niche, whether it's like I think a lot of people try to rock music's always lent into politics, which is super like it's always been fuck the man, and it's kind of done that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think those types of things are really easy for people to latch on to to create a brand.
Yeah.
I think the issue with those things sometimes though is that they come and go and they can often be like I was vegan for a couple of years and then I decided I didn't want to be vegan anymore.
Were you? I don't think I remember that.
I would have been vegan
back then.
Back when we were friends.
Wait, no, I do remember. We went to like what's that place in the valley that does the vegan hot dogs or whatever? I remember going there once after a night out.
Yeah,
another
one. Yeah, another one. 5 dogs.
I remember going there and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's so funny. I go back to vegan places now and I'm like, this tastes like shit.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know why I did it. Well, I know I did it because
For animals' sake?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course,
I was like,
I can get it.
This is important. For me, I just wasn't healthy doing it. So, and I realized,
that's the issue.
and I think that's why it is a bit of a phasal thing. A lot of things at the moment that are like that.
Yeah. For sure.
A lot of politics, a lot of, people just look for things to jump on because they like to virtue signal who they are, which is why it's great to do it as an artist because you can kind of do that. But you do have to make sure that you're genuine about those things.
Yeah, I feel like there is a danger, like what you said before, that things can be phasing in and out. And
Correct.
if you have wrapped your entire identity as an artist around that could be a real problem.
Correct.
Like, there's a really good example of that, which with people that I actually know personally, which I think you know. But in the early 2000s, that birth of new metal, everyone was obsessed with it. People were angry. It was like Gen X, like kids or whatever, being angry about shit,
Yeah.
And Limp Bizkit was one of the biggest bands at that time. And, they were, I don't know, super famous for like 2 or 3 years and everyone loved the music. And Fred Durst is a very iconic sort of person and like kind of shrouded himself in that particular personal brand.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe 5 years go past and it's just like new metal doesn't exist anymore. And everyone like doesn't want to listen to it and they kind of put shit on it.
Yeah, it became lame.
Totally.
Became lame.
Then, so that band and like lots of bands, Korn was another one or whatever, just sort of like fade into insignificance, which would be such a hard pill to swallow if you made it all the way there and you're like, selling out shows and like there's thousands and thousands of people and everyone loves you and the music, and then all of a sudden that trend has kind of gone away of like it was a specific sort of genre, I guess, which is slightly different, but also like Fred sort of branded himself in the same way of like, I don't give a fuck kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that kind of just like the world just changed, and then they were on to the next thing, and then your whole band and brand and everything is built on that. Well, where do you go from there? And then what ended up happening? They fell out of the charts, and but they're kind of having a revival now, I think, because it's been long enough that
Yeah.
people are like listening to it again for nostalgia. But imagine that happening if you didn't, like, you weren't able to adapt fast enough kind of thing and connect with your fans on like a different level if it was all based on this like brand. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of what you were talking about before with I think Metallica and bands like that kind of stand the test of time a little bit more because there's not a specific, like being a rebel,
Yeah.
and that'll last through to still a 50-year-old accountant wearing Metallica shirts,
For sure.
because it's a belief of and a mindset that kind of is within the music,
Yeah.
rather than a specific like trend
Yeah.
that's in the
Kind of
music.
like a trope or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's really like super interesting,
Yeah,
like with different genres of music that come and go. And then there usually are some people that I guess are the most successful because they've like, I don't know, branded themselves slightly like adjacent to that genre and what that means.
absolutely.
And then sort of failed to see the writing on the wall in a way of like, well, music is the industry is so fickle, and
Yeah,
fans are fickle, and it just changes. It can change in an instant, and then overnight you go from being like super successful to not. So yeah, it is super interesting to think about the bands that do last and why that is. I feel like it's rarely to do with the music necessarily, because I feel
absolutely.
like the more albums you make, this isn't the case for every artist, but certainly some of my favorite artists, you love their earlier albums, or like there's a sweet spot, and then they keep going, and you're like, as they go on, but you
Absolutely.
still love the band for whatever reason. I don't. Yeah.
It's almost like the kind of that energy that they had at that time when they
Yeah.
recorded that album, they kind of grow out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
People get
And then
bigger
you don't
egos.
resonate with you don't resonate with what they do
Yeah, that's
anymore.
true.
So where are you on your like artist journey? What's your plan? What do you want to do
Well,
as a musician?
as a musician,
Yeah.
well, I feel like as you get older, and I'm 31 now, you kind of the passion is definitely still there, the fire is definitely still there, but I guess like the noise of the rest of the world has kind of become a lot louder, and that sort of need to feed yourself.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, wanted to buy a house and that sort of thing. So those I guess my work life, my normal work life, that has become more important, or at least it's kind of needed to be, so that you can continue to,
Keep up with everyone.
keep up with everyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally, yeah, absolutely. And so I feel like for me, despite always, always since I was a little girl, always thinking that I was going to be a singer. Despite that, I still have that kind of, I don't know, we call it like a bit of a dreamer in that way. It's like, it's still going to happen. Like that's in the back of my mind always. I think that's kind of important. But, you know, the other things in my life have sort of steered me in a way that I don't spend as much time on it as I probably would want to or would need to for it to actually really happen. So I decided at the beginning of this year that I, make too many excuses. Cause I mean, like even just now, like I've just made all these excuses of why I haven't like been progressing my music career forward. And there's every excuse under the sun for that. But I decided at the beginning of the year that I was going to just do music because I love it. And if something happened from it, then that would be fantastic. And it kind of really reignited the fire again a little bit. So all of a sudden I had like 5 songs that just like came into my head, and I had to like work them out. And I have worked them out. Like I've got them all ready to go kind of thing. And I would want to record them because I kind of, in a way, stopped thinking of it as like this chore that I've got to go and do, because if I don't do it, then I'm going to not live up to my dreams and stuff. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's kind of like it was sitting over here, always there. And like I'm doing my rest of my life over here. And I was like, yeah, sort of resenting it a little bit because I'm like, if I don't do it, then I'm going to be really sad and, I'll look back in my life and be regretful. But yeah, that was kind of making it this thing that I just didn't even want to go and touch because, like then it's like I know how much work I'd have to do to kind of get there almost. So I just decided that I wasn't going to think of it in that way anymore. And then, yeah, all this inspiration, like I hadn't written a song in a long time. All this inspiration just came flooding in. And then, like, I've just been making the time to go and just do it for myself. So our office actually is in like this cool little basement. So I've just put all my guitars in there and all my amps. And then after work, I'll just stay and I'll just practice for
Sure.
hours, which, before my excuse was, oh, well, I live in an apartment, so I don't want to disturb people. So I've kind of created an environment that there is no excuse.
Yeah.
And so now I've, been talking to Ryan, who I used to play with a bit back in the day. And so he's coming and we've like learnt the whole set again. And so we also recorded a new song that sort of like came about as part of this. We wrote a new song together, which we hadn't done before. I've only ever written my own songs. We kind of did this one together. So it's kind of, yeah, I've sort of just tried to reframe how I was thinking about it and it's become fun again.
Sure. Because that can be pretty scary, right? That sounded pretty, the way you were describing that just then, I was feeling the emotion in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, you were?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
everyone wants as a musician,
Yeah.
right? If you're going to try to follow the dream or chase
Yeah.
the dream,
Yeah.
you're going to hit that point at some point. Now, you might make it. I haven't made it. And I think a lot of people that would listen to this or a lot of people on the journey are will not have made it
Yeah.
when they're listening to this.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to know that you're not alone with feeling that way.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, because it can be super scary when you're stuck in that position and you go, I'm not putting in enough work. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
My music's never going to be good enough.
Yeah.
I've failed. My life is a waste.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, feels like it does feel like it's your life purpose, I think, for a lot of people, a lot of artists. I mean, everyone probably.
Yeah.
And that if you don't do something with it, then it would be a complete waste. And then you'll be 45 and you'll be thinking, why did I work as hard as I possibly could have to get there?
Yeah.
Answer.
Do I have regret?
No. And of course,
yeah.
regret, which would be devastating.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think we all think when we're 18 years old, we see at a Friday night at a pub the 50-year-old cover artist and go, I'm never going to be that.
Right?
But the older you get, you're like, oh, maybe that might be me.
100%.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Because maybe those people, it's just that that's actually a really good point. Maybe those people, it's not that they're like trying to make it or whatever at 50. It's that they realize that they didn't try hard enough when they were younger. So now they're just doing it to be like, I'm just kind of scratching the itch in a way of like, just want to perform.
Yeah.
Because I didn't make the most of the opportunities that I had when I was young.
Which is scary.
Ugh.
Such a horrible feeling.
It's horrible.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so many things that I was thinking about as you were talking. But what was the point where you went, like, where did you start to feel like that? Like, where did you feel like you were going downwards rather than upwards?
So I think just before, I mean, this is going back a few years now, but just before COVID, things were like quite good for me, really. I mean, granted, I was a lot younger and I hadn't really found my area that I wanted to work in sort of full time. Like I was always working in marketing, but I hadn't found the thing that I really loved, which is where I am now. So I think at that point too, there's so many possibilities. Like when you're working full time, but you're not like really super into it. And then you've got your music on the other hand, and you're young. It feels like the world is just there. Like it's just your oyster that anything could happen at any point. And so I had plenty of time to put into music and things were going really well. And then that was when I released my last single, which was, years ago now. And it did really well. It ended up being number 38 on 4ZZZ Hot 100, which was insane. And I missed it as well because anyway, that's another story, but I didn't want to miss hearing it, but my sister and Max, anyway.
Yeah.
So going really well. And then I think when that happened, I was like, it's kind of this realization of like, oh my God, like that was pure luck that happened, I think. And how great that, I've got this kind of little accolade and, I don't really have that much music out there and I'm not super developed kind of as an artist because I was pretty young. How amazing is this? And then, with COVID, people just weren't going out to see music anymore. And I think as well, there was a fear of musicians not having a steady job as well, with COVID too. That's kind of really shone a light on how, I don't know, fickle the industry is, that it's dependent on people being out kind of thing. So just over time after that happened, it kind of just became less and less of a priority for me. But I also think that part of that, which is kind of a scary thought, might have been to do with, okay, something happened. I feel unprepared. And then kind of letting go a little bit. Like, I feel like I could have maybe made the most of that pretty cool thing that happened. And, just being like, cool, like, I've got a plan. I'm going to release this single and this single and this single. And like, I'm going to do X, Y, Z shows and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't have all that planned together. And I think it like scared me a little bit too of like, oh, you're like so close to what you want. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so like, I feel like there was an element of that happening. But at the same time, there's like some very real world events that were going on around. So I think just over time, it just kind of like, I kind of just let go a little bit. That's sort of how it feels. And I also seem to lose a bit of my creative inspiration as well. Like I was then trying to write more songs. Like I had other ones, but I wanted to write a new one. And I was finding that really difficult as well. So then it just, again, sort of became a little bit of I was resenting it a little bit, maybe, because
you felt like you couldn't write that next song as well.
Yeah. There was an element of that. So over time, that's sort of what happened.
Absolutely. If we had another COVID, I think
right.
to that point, right?
Yeah.
It'd be so like there were two types of people, two types of musicians, I should say, during COVID. People that made the most of the fact everyone was online.
Yeah.
And people that did not.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately was one of those people that did not.
Yeah, well.
But imagine if I was in a position where I was doing this, I was doing like creating like shorts and reels and making the most of content, especially back then when like it was easier for your reels to, because it was so new, right?
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
so new. So if you were putting stuff up, it was getting so many more views than it gets now as well.
Yeah.
Just a different time. So I think, again, that's hindsight, and hindsight's like useless.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that's like, okay, cool. How do we be prepared? Or how do you make sure that you're in the right mindset so that you can fix that next time?
Yeah. I feel like the preparedness is like possibly one of the most important things because, if something did happen, like overnight kind of thing, which sometimes does happen to people, if you weren't like fucking ready to go, sorry, I just swore. If you weren't ready to go, then the opportunity you'll miss it kind of thing. So
can you believe that was 5 years ago?
No, it's nuts. I'm so much older.
Yeah. Kill me. It sucks. It's one of those things that like, because we're exactly the same. We were doing really, really well up until COVID. And I think because we didn't have a brand, and this is exactly the problem. We didn't have the brand. We didn't know what our values were.
Yep.
We relied so much on the live shows.
Yep.
Because we were like, our live shows are GOAT. We're awesome. We can play a great live show.
Agree.
And people thank you. And people will come and watch that.
Yep. But
COVID destroyed that. Yeah. That one game plan, our one strategy, we couldn't operate on.
Yeah.
And then obviously that created tension because we couldn't do the thing that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we had tours, we had this momentum, and then it was really easy for us to blame COVID. But in hindsight now, I'm just kind of blaming myself, which is you're much better off just blaming yourself and your lack of, exactly, that accountability of, okay, cool. I understand how music works now,
Yeah.
and how good you are with your music is only one little bit of what actually people care about.
100%.
So now that I'm a lot more aware of what the brand is and what it is like I'm trying to represent, which is the artist journey and really embodying that, it's becoming a lot easier for me to be filled with purpose and passion. Which brings me to the next thing that I want to mention from you is what was it like being stuck in that writer's block? Was it writer's block?
Yeah, definitely. Very sad, like very disheartening. And then also all of like, obviously the self-doubt of like, I have a lot of imposter syndrome just in general. Like it's just something that in every phase of my life, like I always feel pretty unsure of myself about everything. And so I guess when I just couldn't just get anything together and I was like, I hate everything that I'm sort of coming up with. It was just like, yeah, but that's because you're, like, and so as soon as you start to think that, you're not going to get anywhere. You're certainly not going to write your next best song when you're being like, I'm so shit.
Unless that's part of your brand.
Unless it's part of your brand. Yeah, that's terrible.
Super self-deprecating. Yeah. Like, I suck, my music sucks. Might actually write a banger. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So bit of a vicious cycle there of like, can't write anything because you're shit. You're shit because you can't write anything kind of thing.
Yeah. So how long were you stuck in that for?
I probably didn't write anything new for like 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden just kind of came back again. I don't really know why.
Were you trying in that 2 to 3 years? Like you were sitting down, actively trying to do it and just nothing
nothing that I really liked, like nothing that I was like, this is good. You can write, for a little while I did like write a song a day, which you just write so much crap. But then sometimes there's, after 30 days, there might be something that's all right. But yeah, everything I was just like, I feel like the sort of fire had burned out a little bit, and I was annoyed that that this might not actually happen. I think that had a lot to do with it too, of like, I'm annoyed that I have to go to my normal 9 to 5 that I don't really care about because I need to survive. And that this little dream that I have that I always had is probably not going to happen because I'm not good enough because I don't work hard enough, not talented enough, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, this big list of why not.
Why not? Yeah. And then also you make it easier for yourself to sort of like let your art just over there and stay over there by being like, well, I've got all these responsibilities and there's lots of people that are better than me. And like, all that stuff is so easy to do. Like it's really hard to keep motivated, like, which you wouldn't think because I love it at the end of the day. Like, obviously I love it, but it's so hard to keep yourself motivated and going and doing it every day, or like checking in with yourself of like, how am I working towards this goal at the moment? Am I? Kind of thing. It's really hard to do that,
especially as a solo artist. I'd imagine that's even harder
because no one holds you accountable.
Exactly. No one. And I think one thing that really helped with us, because there was a couple moments. So moment number one, COVID had happened, and obviously we'd released 4 or 5 songs, and the momentum was dropping, and we were like, okay, like, how do we expect for anyone to give a fuck about us when we've only got 5 songs?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that made me go, okay, cool, we got to start writing songs. And then we wrote that EP, Worth the Music, and still we released that and we started to get momentum. But then I remember thinking, like, still no, like, we're still not where we want to be. We've only got 10 songs. So it's like, we need to do more than that. So now we've actually written 12 brand new songs, which is exciting.
Can't wait.
Yeah, got a whole album's worth of stuff.
So exciting.
And I think the thing that made me fall back in love with music, because I think what you just said really resonated, was when we were going away. So once a month we were going away for 3 nights to the cabin. And we just had to write music. And that was so like for a long time, I was so sad that we were playing the same venues.
Yeah.
We were having to work our butts off to get similar amounts of people showing up.
Yeah.
Because we played some awesome shows.
Yeah.
But unless we like promoted the crap out of it, it was really hard to get any extra traction.
Yeah.
But then when we started going to the cabin and we started making music there and we started writing songs, and it just became this super fun process of like, oh, that's right, I love writing music.
Yeah.
That's the part that I really like.
Yeah.
So I think just there was something really scary about the first couple times going up there, where we'd go up and we'd be like, what if we don't have, we've all put aside 4 days, 3 nights to be up here. What if we walk away with nothing?
Yeah.
And obviously that never came true. We'd always come away with something. We'd always be leaving like, yeah, we just wrote the best song ever. But while you're in that, there's something super intimidating and scary about it. And I think that's what stops people from putting in the work a lot of the time.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like as well, for me anyway, a lot of the time when I've forced myself to write something, I'm never normally that happy with it. So I feel like it's good. It's definitely a good thing to be like, I'm going to go and write music now, because the more you do it, obviously, the better you get at it. And it's just good for discipline wise anyway.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time when I've written songs that I really love, it's because I'm feeling generally happy about having been playing more music. And then I like I'll hear something in my head, just doing something else. But it never happens if I'm not already like in that, like the habit or whatever of regularly practicing, regularly singing, regularly listening to music that I love. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'll get like a little something that I'll hear rattling around in my head, which is normally how I write my songs. It'll be something that I sort of hear doing something else. That never happens if I've made a bunch of excuses in the last, couple of months. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to pick up my guitar today, or, for the last 60 days because I'm tired, or because I've got work pressures, or because I've got, whatever the hell it is. I'll never write a really good song, and it'll never like occur to me if I'm not happy with how much I've been kind of doing.
Exactly.
Which I think is interesting.
It is. Well, I think that's what negates the idea that it's luck.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you can control how much opportunity you get exposed to.
Yeah.
By how much discipline you have to actually put in the work.
For sure.
So a couple of examples of that. Number one, you're not going to write a good song if your guitar lives under your bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you look at it for probably 10 seconds,
yeah,
and then put it back under.
Yeah.
You're never going to write the song.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to meet that industry connection
Mm-hmm.
that could help you get to where you need to be if you never leave your home to do anything related to music. And yeah, so those things that people are like, oh, they're just lucky because they have that network, they have that, they just are talented. I feel like a lot of the time those people, they just put more, like if you're playing your guitar 8 hours a day, you're gonna, you're much, 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 much more likely to write that hit song than that person who plays guitar once a fortnight, let alone the person that picks up their guitar for 2 hours once every 2 months, let alone that person that doesn't touch their guitar at all.
Yeah.
And just goes, man, I wish I was a musician. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So well done on giving yourself that opportunity and setting up having the discipline to set up that space to go, I'm going to do this. Like, how often what's your schedule? What do you do?
So it's definitely at the moment, I have to at least sing or play my guitar 3 times after work in the work week. That's like the minimum.
Yeah.
So I can usually it's not, sometimes at the end of the day, you're like, I'm hungry, I just want to go home. But I've kind of created the environment so that there's nothing that I can be like, I need to go and do this instead. I've even got food there to be like, you're in this environment, go and do it. So it's usually about 3 times a week minimum that I will make time to at least sing. I don't always sing and play guitar because I kind of think of them as 2 separate things, 2 separate instruments kind of thing. And I'm definitely a better singer than I am a guitar player. So that's like the most important thing to me. But yeah, it's definitely 3 times after work. Some weeks it can be 5 times, like every day after work. And then, you know, some Sundays I'll just go down there because fortunately the office is right downstairs from my house. So
Perfect.
yeah. So I've
Cool.
literally set it up so that there's just no excuses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. You just got to remove the friction.
Yeah.
Same as like if you want to go to the gym,
Mhm.
they say we need to, number one, make sure that you've got a gym that's super close to you.
Yep.
Because if it's a 40-minute drive, you're never going to
go.
find the time. Yeah. And then step 1 is you've just got to go. So you don't have to spend 40 minutes there. Literally, I think this was in the book Atomic Habits.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've read that.
I've got it.
Yeah.
I have started reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, the concepts in it are pretty good. And it talks about like this PT, I'd imagine they were, that first step for severely overweight clients that haven't been in the gym is literally just go to the gym and just spend 5 minutes at the gym. Don't even have to exercise, but just build the habit of going there and just walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. That's enough to just build that habit of going there, realizing it's not that scary. And once you're there, you've ticked off the goal because you've actually done it.
Yeah.
The output's not necessarily important. It's the input of just being able to go and do it.
Yeah.
And I think music's the same.
Totally.
And I think that's why we did so well with going to the cabin. We never would have written the music that we wrote if we just came here 3 hours a week. No way. It's going away and dealing with the frustration as an artist. Because if we had 4 days, one of those days we would write something and then throw it out. There'd be an entire day's worth of music and like 9, 10, 12 hours worth of stuff that we'd write and we'd just put it in the bin.
Right.
That happened all the time. And yeah. And I think that's part of the process.
Yeah.
And if you don't put in the work, especially when you're newer like us, I wouldn't say we're, world-class pros. Maybe they can spit out something in a much, much, much smaller time. But I think as emerging artists, we've got to put a lot more time in to get that same amount of effort. Reward.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. It's funny with that gym example. That is something that I do with music these days, I guess, because I had this kind of epiphany in the beginning of the year. But if I do really want to go home after work, if it's been a long day, whatever it is, I'll just say, just pick up the guitar for 5 minutes. Just do 5 minutes. And then you can say that you've done it. Correct. And you can tick that off. But what always happens is you never spend 5 minutes because then you're doing it. So, it turns into a couple of hours.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Without like any effort whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like actually doing it. So I kind of say that to myself all the time. I'm like, just sing one song and then we'll end up, singing 20 songs kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that's how it normally works, right?
Yeah.
You start putting the effort and you go, oh, actually, I love this.
I love this. Yeah. Why did I not want to do this?
Yeah, this is
so
great.
Funny.
This is what I want to do with my time, not what I've just spent the last 8 hours doing.
Yeah.
And then that quick reframe and you're like, actually, this is really nice. So what was a moment, you kind of touched on it, but like how bad did it get for you to go, no, actually, fuck this, I got to make a change?
So when I turned 30, which actually was a year ago, a year and a bit, I kind of like, had this feeling of like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm 30 and I'm still no closer to where I really actually wanted to be than I was, when I was 25 or whatever.
Thanks for scaring me.
I know.
Cool.
It's all right. I'm a bit older than you.
I got 18 months.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm 28 at the moment.
It's all right if you're a man. That was another thing. I mean, this is not a nice thought, but particularly as like a solo artist, female, I feel like there's also definitely like a expiry. Does that
Yeah, for sure. I've heard people talk about this. And I think it totally is real. Yeah. Do you think it gets amplified in your head as one of those why nots?
It probably is a why not, but actually, like, it more just makes me like punish myself a little bit of like, oh, I can't believe that you let yourself get to this age and you didn't actually do what you've wanted to do and what you've always wanted to do, kind of thing. So it's sort of just like an opportunity for me to like, you know, self-harm.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, like, because I love that.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it's a why not. I think actually there's lots of other reasons why not, rather than necessarily my age. I wonder if that is deep down something. I hadn't really thought about that. It could be.
Can you dig into that more?
Into the age thing?
Yeah,
or
into the age thing.
why
Why does that
it's
exist?
a problem?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many reasons. The patriarchy. I don't know. So I guess, well, particularly I think if I was in a band, it wouldn't matter as much. I don't think that would matter at all, actually. I think because it's a solo act, I'm a solo artist or whatever, that all of the artists that you think of that are super successful, that are female solo artists, I suppose are really young, or at least they were. So in a way that just makes me feel like there's so much pressure on you. Just need to be really young and youthful and like almost Bambi-eyed kind of thing. I guess because the branding element is such an important part of the music. Like I definitely can write better music now that I'm this age than I could when I was 20. So it's nothing to do with the music kind of thing. The older you get, probably the better you would be at writing music. So why is there this like expiration date sort of thing? But I guess I'm trying to think of, any solo female artist, even right now, Billie Eilish, Sabrina Carpenter, obviously Taylor Swift is older now, but she used to be like 21 or whatever. They're all really young, and it feels like that's all that the world kind of cares about. But that can be said about women for every industry. So,
Absolutely.
women tend to like have an expiration date in all walks of life, kind of thing. Yeah, which sucks.
It does suck. So do you think there is space for a 30-year-old woman, 31-year-old woman to, like, is that an angle that you could
potentially like, like that I'm older? I don't know. Potentially, but then I kind of would want to. I feel like I just want to never tell anyone I've just done it, but what my actual age is, so that they don't focus on it. I feel like it's something that people focus on for women specifically in a negative way. So like if I use that as, well, I'm over 30 and, I'm going to do this anyway, that people would take it. It wouldn't be recognized in the right way. It'd be like, oh, she's washed up,
Yeah. Where do you think the cutoff is for that?
27.
Yeah. Did you feel it at 20?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I still felt
Really?
okay at 28. But then by the time I got to 29, I started to think like, ugh, yeah. You kind of do feel it a little bit. Like I've even noticed it, not in my professional life, because I think generally people tend to respect you a bit more if you've got a bit more experience, which means you must be a bit older. But like just in general life, it's such a weird feeling. It's almost like you feel a little bit invisible all of a sudden.
Really?
Yeah. But you could ask any woman about that. That's kind of a universal thing.
Shit.
Yeah, you start to just sort of be ignored a little bit. That's what it feels like anyway.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, and how much, like, because I think as a man, I definitely feel a time thing. But there's a really good example, Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll?
Yeah, who is that?
He's a country guy. He's
yes, that's
big,
right.
giant dude, covered in tats.
Yes.
And he won a Grammy last year, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. And in his acceptance speech, he was like, I'm out here showing you that you never give up. Like, because he's this giant fat guy covered in tats, and he's like saying, like, I'm not your standard pretty country boy that's in their 20s, and here I am, and I'm showing you, like, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Yeah. Obviously not too, like, I think rock music and what I do, I think you're exactly right. I feel less pressure
Yeah.
because I see a lot of musicians in what I do don't really start popping off until they are in that 25s to 35s because sex appeal isn't such a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what can you do as a woman to overcome that?
To overcome it? Botox.
Yeah.
I'm
Are there
kidding.
successful, can you think of any successful artists that have emerged after 30 as a woman? Surely.
Sheryl Crow is one.
Susan Boyle. There you go.
Yeah,
There's
there
hope.
you go. There's hope. Great. Susan Boyle. I think, I know that Sheryl Crow is definitely, I think she was first like commercially successful at like 32.
Mhm.
So she's one that comes to mind. I don't know if I can think of, there would be others. It's just, the majority, the ones that are in their 30s, they've had sort of, 10 years of a career already. So
For
it's
sure.
not necessarily that people, there's maybe a difference. It's not necessarily that people aren't interested in listening to 30-plus-year-old woman make music. It's that they got the fans when they were in their 20s and they've sort of carried through.
Well, I think where you're bang on is it's not the music.
Yeah, it's not the music.
It's not the music.
No.
They don't care.
Yeah.
All they care about the voice. You can't tell how old someone is by their voice.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the time, right?
Yeah.
Even then, you get guys that can sound like little girls when they're singing, right? But it's the branding. I think you're bang on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of female artists do rely on that sex appeal element.
Absolutely. I think that's how they break out from, a bunch of people want to have sex with them. It's so depressing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good and a bad thing. It's sort of like, well, if you get the look right, then maybe people will sit up and take notice. So in a way, that's kind of like something else that you could be doing aside from having really great music that, if you get the right look, then that might get you places sort of thing. But then the flip side of that obviously is
you time out at that look.
Then there's an expiration. So
yeah. Okay. So back to you hitting 30. You went, oh no.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that was part of it. Was there anything else?
I think, turning 30, that was definitely a bit of a wake up call of like, well, it's now or never kind of thing. But what I was talking about before of like sort of trying to reframe it in my mind is like not so much I need to go and be Sabrina Carpenter, for example, that I would be very happy if I just made music part of my life in a real way. And potentially there's benefits to that. And maybe I do at some point get to, I don't know, not do my 9 to 5, but not making that like the be all and end all kind of thing that I need to quit my job and like only be touring kind of thing from now on. It's more just wanting to make music a bigger part of my life, or just like an essential component of my life. And then that way I'll be super prepared if anything ever did happen kind of thing. But it just keeps me in a more creative space and I'm happier. And I don't know if that makes sense. Can't really
You changed
explain.
the goal. You changed the goal.
Change the goal. Yeah, that's probably true.
I was kind of alluding to that with the cabin thing is I did the very same thing. I made my goal. I don't care if I am 50 and I'm not going to be the guy at the pub playing the songs.
Yeah.
But if I can still write a story about my life and my emotions and what I'm feeling and still be able to put the time in to do that every now and then for a couple of days, every couple of weeks, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
And I would still get that creative outlet. And I think I was like, I'd fight with some of the guys in the band about like because if we just kept going, if we went for the next year or two and just kept going to the cabin and creating music, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I can tell other people in the band, not Nick, the other two, that they're just getting itchy feet and they just want to play shows. They're just like, we want to play shows, we want to play shows, we want to play shows.
Right.
And here I am like, no, you don't. Like shows are fun, but I don't want to be playing shows to no one over and over and over again for the sake of playing shows.
Yeah.
I would rather invest my time into creating music because that's where I've shifted my goal and that's what I put my focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been quite fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've done something similar.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's definitely changed. I just was trying to reframe what it sort of meant to me in my own mind kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like I was saying before, I think because, you know, the momentum was lost and things like that, it became like something that I was kind of resenting as like unfulfilled potential or something like that. And so that was sort of actually preventing me from doing the thing that makes me the most happy.
Yeah.
So just trying to get myself out of that headspace of thinking of it as a chore, and, you know, something that I have to go and do, and making it a real part of my life. So it's just something that I do, rather than, being, I don't know, too caught up and worried about, well, this must go somewhere kind of thing. And I guess in a way, like I have, because I followed other like career goals and stuff, I've sort of set myself up so that I feel comfortable with how much, you know, money I make and kind of thing. So I don't have any of those stresses anymore. I don't have to figure out who I am kind of thing anymore. That's all done, which is definitely a big part of your 20s too, like figuring out who you are. So that's all sort of done. And so now I'm just kind of left with this, well, I love music, so what am I kind of going to do about it? If that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense. So what's the plan now then?
Well, got this new song that Ryan and I recorded. It's called Parasite. I really love it. I think it's great. So need to release that. We're having a little bit of trouble with the production though at the moment. So I'm going to go and re-record the vocals in a couple of weeks' time, just to make sure. I just want to rule out that it's not the vocals. I don't think it is, but just want to rule that out. And then, we're just going to try a few different things. We just actually might show it to you guys later and see what you think.
Sure.
And see if you can shed any light on how I'm going to fix it. See if you can hear what I'm hearing.
Okay, cool. Yep.
So gonna release that with him. Kind of need to put together like a little bit of a, I suppose, marketing plan for how I want to release that. Reach out to some people that I used to talk to release that. But then, I've got, like I said, I've written quite a few new songs recently, and there's definitely one in particular that I really want to record. So again, just recording these for me in a way. It's not because I'm like, this is going to be the next big hit. It's more sort of like, I really love this song. I'm proud of it. I want to share it with the world. If people like it, wonderful. But, you know, it's not kind of the reason that I'm doing it.
Such a better mindset. Hey, that's kind of what we've done with this whole new album as well. We've always kind of written our music for us.
Yeah.
But I think this one more so than anything else, it's just like, I just want to do it. I just want to make something I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
And I don't care what happens to it. I just want to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly how I feel. Yeah. Because it's like, it's for me anyway, kind of thing. You know, like the feeling that you get when you're writing a song, or even when you're, you know, singing your own song, because obviously you're a vocalist as well. It's so great. You just feel, I don't know, electric. So I'm proud of it. I want to share it with people. And if they like it, great. If they don't, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I like it.
For sure. So how many songs have you made? How many new? So you got one that you've recorded?
Yes, one that's recorded. There's about 5 others that I'm really happy with that I would want to record. The only thing that would prevent me from doing it is money. That's it. So, as in, like, the only thing that would prevent me from doing it really fast is money.
Yeah.
Like, I'll make the time. It's just like the cost of it.
Well, it's so expensive, right?
Yeah. And it's all me too, because I'm just me. So.
For sure. How are you? Where are you recording?
Haven't decided where I want to.
Where'd you do your last track?
I did Sound Out Studios for my last one, which is Casper Hall. He used to have a place in Annerley. He's recently moved to a new place, which I would be recording the vocals again with him. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go there again. That's where I recorded on top as well. I might look around. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe you guys can recommend.
Yeah, we're doing it ourselves.
You're doing it yourself?
Yeah.
Would you do it for me?
Sorry, not me. I'm not doing it. We're getting Teague to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
cool.
met Teague? Yeah, cool. Because yeah, we're illiterate with that. Because we basically got some quotes and stuff, and just got bill shocked with
Yeah.
how expensive it was going to be to
Yeah.
track 12 songs.
Whew, yeah, that would
Yeah,
be wild.
yeah, it was like 20 grand.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So 20 grand just to track and like record them
That's nuts.
before we even start, like
Trying to promote it.
mastering and then getting it online and
Yeah.
getting it to people and then promotional stuff for it.
Yep.
So literally to get that out, you'd be looking at doing it traditionally,
Yeah.
like 30, 40K. Absolutely. If you're making little music videos and you're doing that
Yeah,
kind of
of
thing.
course.
I think music videos are stupid now anyway.
Yeah, except that when I see a music video that this has always been the case. When I see a music video that I love, it makes me love the song even more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they're a bit of fun. I've never done one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think from experience, the time and energy we put into music videos has just been a bit of a waste.
Wasn't worth it.
Wasn't worth it at all,
Yeah.
actually. Because they go on YouTube.
Yeah.
So again, it's another 5 grand for a song if you want to get it to look really good and pay someone to put in the editing and the production and do something cool with it for nothing. For people to go, oh, that was cool.
Yeah. And then that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. I think it's a waste of money at the start of your journey.
So do I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the start, for sure.
You'd be putting much, number one, lessons. Get lessons.
Yeah.
Like, do you see a vocal coach or anything?
I haven't in years,
Yeah.
which is probably a bit naughty, but
I've started doing it again.
Okay, cool.
We'd started a year.
Nice.
But I've been going weekly for like a year and it's
Are
so
you
good.
enjoying it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super worth it.
Yeah.
So just that kind of stuff, I think, as an artist is where you should be putting your money opposed to dumping it into a music video.
I agree.
Yeah. So okay, you've got the songs, right?
Got
Let's
the
say
songs.
let's say you get them recorded.
Mm-hmm.
What's step 2?
Well, step 2 would be the same thing, is that I probably need to. I actually have people now at my disposal because we've got the business that we could all sit in a room together and be like, cool, what are we going to do with these 5 songs? How are we going to, I don't know, promote them? So I guess that's probably what the next thing that I'll do. And all of them are totally like, would be on board with that. So I think if we treated me as a client of the agency, that could actually work really well.
Definitely.
Especially because
surely you get a good rate.
Yeah. I have to ask the boss. Because, it also means that I'd be able to, I think having other people like outside opinions sort of involved will really help me, because it's like so easy to be super tunnel vision about like what we've been talking about,
exactly.
like branding and like who I want to be as an artist and all of that, when it's just you and you don't have any like outside perspective or opinion. So
absolutely,
I think that is something that Simon and I have talked about, that once I get the songs recorded, that we'll just consider Georgia James as like a client, and then the rest of the team can kind of help me
work out how to do that. That's lucky that you've got that.
Yeah.
Because I think the group that we used, Disrupt Marketing, for the last, they're just a marketing agency as well.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Got that in. I didn't realize, but I was driving through the valley not that long ago and saw the massive, like their logo on a massive.
Right.
They're in the valley.
Yeah, it's near my place.
Yeah. So, point being that they're just a normal marketing agency that went, okay, cool. How do we make the most of running? I'm pretty sure they just ran ads and like Facebook ads.
Yep.
And did playlist pitching. They were the 2 strategies that they used. So they had libraries of just people that I'd imagine they paid to put our song in their playlists.
Yeah. I think definitely playlisting is like supposed to be pretty powerful.
Well, it's just a new version of contacting radios and getting radios to spin your track, right?
Yeah.
So I think super important. And I think playlisting is super important, and that's what I'd probably try and focus on again.
Yeah.
It's just hard to navigate when there's so much fake stuff out there as well, right? You've probably seen it. Like, you've probably gotten ads for, hit us up and we'll get you on all these playlists, bot-free playlists. It's like, if you got to say they're bot-free,
It's not a good sign.
They might have bots in them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that happens
absolutely.
too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe that could be something you could get your team to work out
To
how to
work out how to.
master.
That would be great. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, I'm in this fortunate position where I wouldn't necessarily have to do it all myself. Because I think that's also super overwhelming when
It's the hardest part.
it's just you. You got to figure out all this stuff. Um,
How
and
are
then,
women meant to do that by 24?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly right. It's so I think as well, I'm going to find it valuable just talking to people who aren't in the music industry at all, as in like they're not musicians themselves, kind of thing, um, about how to sort of brand me or like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's going to be interesting because they're going to bring something entirely fresh.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think if you can get your team working with people uh, and marketing personal brands,
Yeah.
if you can get them to experiment on a couple other, like if you can find some clients that do just want to build a personal brand,
Yeah. Could be a good
that would work so
experiment.
well for you.
Yeah.
And that way they can guinea pig on some type of influencer that
Yeah.
sells something that,
Totally.
but the main product is them and their influence.
Mm.
If you can master that, then you can definitely apply that to yourself.
Yeah, I reckon too.
A lot of it would just be very native looking ads, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. Because, like, I mean, with us, like, we don't do a lot of ad work. Like, that's like I was saying before, like, that's more acquisition, we're more retention.
Yeah.
But I guess the same, like, similar sort of principles apply with just general, like, we've got marketing skills kind of thing. But I think we're pretty good, at least some of the team is, all of them, pretty good is like, you know, remaining on brand, that sort of thing. So, you know, other brands trust us to come up with creative for them that seems like that they've put it out. So, you know, they've kind of got that muscle really flexed. So I feel like that they're going to be really good. It'll just be a fun exercise, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you got the music, you're going to chuck it on, you're going to get a marketing team just to help get it out, right?
Yeah.
Then what?
And then what? I actually really, I mean, I know we've been talking about not playing shows,
Yeah.
but I actually really do want to do that again. I think just purely because it's fun. And like I've been saying, I'm kind of just trying to make it fun. And that's something that I find really fun. So
Yeah.
probably do some shows.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just make the most of, I guess, enjoying the process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because one thing Nick and I said when to the deal that we agreed to with the guys, we're like, yeah, we'll play shows, but I am not, for years, since I was like 18, would just hassle friends and family, almost like someone in a pyramid scheme. Like,
Please come.
come and check out. Yeah, please come to my show.
Yeah.
Same
I
way
hate that. Yeah,
correct.
I do hate that. It's a horrible feeling.
And it's not like it was okay at the start, and I think you get people wanted to be supportive.
Yeah.
But also our friends are now 30 as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So they have busy lives,
Yeah.
kids and stuff.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's a lot harder for them to drop everything the same way they would when they were 21, 22, 23 to come to a gig.
Yeah.
They've got a little bit more stuff that they've got to, take into consideration.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I know it's not as easy as just being like, well, we'll be out this weekend anyway, so why don't you just like,
exactly. Yeah, that's what would happen. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're going to be at Prohibition. Why not just come to literally next
come
door
to
to Tomcat? Yeah, yeah, that's just not a thing. I don't know.
I think Tomcat burned down. Did you see that?
I don't know.
Or
I
like, I think
don't keep up to date with local venues. I heard something happened.
Something happened, I think.
They got
which
firebombed or
made
something.
me feel sad because I've got good memories there of watching you guys.
True. Yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought the venue was okay, but is it fucked?
I don't know. I thought that it burned down.
Someone firebombed the vape shop downstairs, so it got targeted in a vape war.
Oh my God.
Which unfortunately affected Tomcat as well.
Of course. Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if the venue's still there. Hopefully it is.
I'd love to see you guys play there again. That would be so nostalgic for me.
Yeah, we actually did a secret show there the other night.
What?
We didn't tell anyone. Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
I would have come.
It was a secret.
Oh, yeah, the secret show.
Yeah, but
How was it?
it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to play the set to no one, or at least to just play the set on a stage.
Yeah.
And yeah, we told everyone it was our first gig. We had a fake name.
You
We got
are
up.
kidding me.
Yeah.
I love it.
We got up, and there says afterwards, all these people like were just coming up like, nah, "Who are you? Who are you guys?" Like that still wasn't your first gig.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite fun.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
Yeah.
it was just fun to. Number one, it was fun to get that into, because I didn't do any banter throughout. I just kind of acted like this is my first gig. I just went, hey, we're this band. We're just going to play a few of our songs tonight. It's their first show. And then we just ripped it out for like an hour. And people were like, nah, get
There's
fucked.
no way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that was fun. That was fun to get up there
love
and do
that.
that. So, and it was good to just try some stuff before we record the album as well, just to work out what kind of works, what didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, good for you guys.
Yeah.
I kind of want to steal that.
Yeah, it was
Be
fun.
like,
Definitely do it.
It's my first gig.
Definitely just hit up Tomcat. Like, just go to a venue.
Yeah.
We did Tomcat on Thursday night. It
Yeah,
was December.
nice.
I say just the other day it was December.
Okay.
Which is crazy how quickly this year's gone
I
already.
know. It's like going to be April in a second.
You're gonna be 32 soon. When's your birthday?
December.
Oh, cool.
Yes,
Yeah, just
I've
around the
got
corner. It's coming up. Yeah, I'm 29 in September.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So,
you're fine.
yeah,
Oh my
heaps
God,
time.
you're only 28.
What's that?
You're only 28.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah, heaps time.
baby. You got
Heaps
so much
time.
time. Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. Yeah, basically that's the plan. We were meant to start releasing singles January, but we had a bunch of stuff happen.
Okay.
In terms of we just couldn't find anyone to record our stuff properly or at the price that, we didn't want to spend 20 grand because number one, we didn't have it to spend.
Yeah.
We've had to do something horrific to make that money up.
Yeah.
And then
You could sell all your gear.
Yeah. Couldn't do that.
No.
And then, basically we decided that we were going to do it ourselves, aka Teak.
Yep.
So we've recorded bass and drums and some vocals and some guitars for the first third of it. And then a couple of weeks time, we're going to go back and finish the bass and drums for the whole album, just at the cabin by ourselves. And everything's starting to sound pretty good. So
I love it. Can't wait.
I'm excited.
When do you think you'll release it?
Well, the first track's actually going to be an acoustic track. So spice it up.
It's different.
Yeah. So it's going to be dropped as a secret. We're just going to drop it. I'm just going to be like, this is the new band. This is what it sounds like. And then as each single kind of comes out, the sound will evolve.
I love it.
Which will be cool.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I've been a bit of a diva, but the whole album is like a concept album.
Okay, I love that.
The whole thing tells a story.
Okay, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. So stories and stories. So that's, and at my brain is going, cool, how do we make sure that we maximize the reach that it gets with each single? Because again, that's the hardest and the scariest part, right?
Yeah. I did actually work with, when I did On Top and Start a War, I did work with this little agency type thing in Sydney called the A&R department. And they do the playlisting stuff for you. But they also send it to, a bunch of regional radio stations and things like that, but all over the world. So it didn't actually cost me that much considering, the song ended up getting played all over the world. And, I think, because there was no real follow-up from me in terms of more songs and stuff and not an endless supply of money to just keep paying them. But I feel like it was really worthwhile doing that through them. So yeah, I don't know. I'd probably maybe do that again with my new song.
I think it's the most, if you're going to spend money on something,
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you love taking that You love taking marketing money
I
off
do.
people. That's what you do.
That's right.
But I agree that I think that's the most important thing to be
Mm.
spending your money on as an artist these
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
because it's better than if you can be getting in front of people's ears
Yeah.
and eyes.
Mhm.
That's going to be the best ROI for
Yeah.
you as an artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as an artist, if you were to, like, should you treat your band or your product or your music, should you treat yourself as a business, or should you be thinking like a business?
I mean, I think definitely for like this at our day and age, I think it makes the most sense. I feel like, I mean, you hear a lot of stories about how people used to become successful back in the day, and a lot of it was through, gigging, um, on the Sunset Strip and stuff, and enough people came to the shows, then people started to take notice. But for us, it's very different. So, yeah, treating it like it's an actual job or a product, like you say, is probably the most productive, because it, like, no one cares until they care, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where I get so tied up, is because, okay, cool, you got to treat it like a business, got to treat it like a business, and then you try and do the normal businessy things, and they just wouldn't really work.
Yeah.
Like we got a social media manager. I've got so many things to tell artists not what to do.
Yeah,
Artists,
right.
like, don't do these things because they don't work. Social
Yep.
media manager didn't work
Yep.
because, again, it was really hard for them to get our branding and our voice right
Yeah.
every single
Every
post.
time.
Yeah, because we were like, it's so important to be on social media. We hate social media. We don't want to do it. Let's get someone else to do it. Absolute flop.
Yeah. Okay.
But I do completely agree that what I'd imagine would have really helped, and a lot of, like, if you're just gigging and you're waiting to get approached by an artist or a booking agent or a label, like, those things are a lot harder to, especially in Australia at least, because
In Brisbane.
in Brisbane, the whole everything's just kind of shrunk
Mm-hmm.
down, and it does feel like we're trying to do that in like a small country town now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Mm.
terrifying. This has been a pretty negative conversation, this whole thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been all right.
Yeah. So to end on a positive. Sick. Yeah, cool. So I love that the whole thing that we were talking about, where we really kind of ended, was you just got to do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure that you are doing things that are going to give you energy when you're doing music,
Yes,
right?
totally.
Because I think one of the scariest things with music is if you fall into a place where you hate it and you don't want to do it anymore. That can be pretty scary.
Yeah.
A pretty scary path to go down. So yeah, I love that you're still creating music, and you're doing creating more songs and
Yeah.
doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's say in 5 to 10 years, where would you love to be?
In 5 to 10 years, I'm hoping that I've sold the agency and I've made enough money that all I do all day is make music or practice music. And if I'm successful at it, then that's great. But more just that it's what I spend the majority of my time doing.
Yeah. Do you love what you do with your agency now?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Sick.
Yeah, I definitely do. I've been lucky that I found something that I did actually really enjoy.
Surely you can align those two.
Put them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, I think with the running the business and everything, obviously it's super time consuming, or time consuming is not the right word. It's sort of like all consuming. And so I feel like doing that for a really long period of time, so longer than 10 years, say, I would burn out for sure. I think most people would, just because of the nature of our industry. It can be really tough. People don't treat you very well a lot and all of that. So
Yeah.
I don't see it as like my forever kind of plan, but it's great for right now. So if I can use it to get me to where I can spend the majority of my time, just working on music,
Absolutely.
that would be perfect.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
the ideal.
imagine, I'll do some dreaming for you. Imagine if you could have like a music division inside, because I think what's happening is labels are no longer the people in control of
Yeah.
the music industry, which is great for people like you
Yeah.
that have an expertise in something. But if you could have a music division of your, or something that at least if you had an opportunity where every day you were coming in and working on your own music,
Mm-hmm.
but to surround yourself with music, we're also helping other artists get to where they need to be. It would be really cool.
Be so cool. We actually are doing I told you before we're
Yeah.
doing the
Shepherd.
work with Shepherd. So we do kind of want to get more bands as clients just purely because we have Shepherd.
Yeah.
And so we're thinking like, how can we target the rest of the bands that are on that label? And I think that they'll be into it because we've done such a good job with Shepherd. So if we do sort of develop this music arm, which would like sit quite separately to our normal e-com side, there's probably an opportunity there for that to happen.
The issue is it's just kind of like charity work, hey?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because it's just not, well, I don't know, Shepherd, you can probably tell me later how much they are paying, because I want to know. But like, I'd imagine, like me, for example, as much as I give you everything that I have, and I'd rather give it to you than to anything else, it's hard to get money out of musicians because we're not making money off our product. Unlike if I was selling toilet brushes and you were helping me market my toilet brushes, if I had, every time that your process converts, I'm making money. But as a musician, every time Shepherd's website converts, Shepherd isn't making any more money.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And so it would be accepting that they're not going to pay us that much money, and
understanding it's charity, basically.
Correct. And understanding that it's something that, like, I like music, so I would be, because I have the freedom to make that choice, seeing as I'm the boss, that, we're just going to do this for them, even though they wouldn't pay out, like, normal rates for any sort of band that approached us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those businesses need people like you in them who actually care.
Yeah.
So you as a service to other people, you got to do this now.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. And I think that, I think that's super important, because I think that's the way that the music industry kind of survives and thrives. I guess the secret would be to work out a formula that helps grow artists, that doesn't take much of your hands-on kind of, if you can just work out this works. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that's what Disrupt did. I'm sure they've got, these are the people that we talk to for playlisting. These are the style of ads that we run. All of these ads work. This works. Click. And now we'll take not as much money as we would take to run this ad for the toilet company, but we can now we can take this money from this artist because we know that we're going to give them a good service and give them something that they'll be happy with. Because there's so many. The problem with the music industry is there are so many people out there trying to give it a go, but they're just doing a shit job of music marketing, and they're taking money. Like I told you about the time we had a management agency. So much has happened.
Yeah, I don't feel like I remember that.
We had so we've been like, I don't know, maybe it's us, maybe we're the problem. But we were on, like, temporarily, we were with Destroy All Lines, the booking agency. Yeah. So we were on that roster for a little bit, but we're taken off. Or at least we didn't end up working with that person anymore. Okay. Twice. Weirdly.
Really?
Yeah, crazy. So we had two people from there. One person was like, yeah, I'll take you on. We'll get you gigs. And then they had a bunch of mental health problems, and they decided they didn't want to do it anymore. But they were already like booking major artists that you would know the names of from Destroy All Lines. And they said they were going to do the same for us.
That's amazing.
Didn't happen. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it was amazing in theory.
So devastating.
Yeah, for sure. And that happened again. This time it was through an agency where we paid, like, they were management. We got approached by them. They were going to manage us. We were like, sweet, this is awesome. This is going to be great. It's going to help so much get our name out as an artist. I think it started like the start of the year. We're about into March right now. We paid 3 months. So making us pay a retainer. So they're making us pay them to keep them on as a client. 3 months in, we'd spent, I think we were spending like $300 a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd spent $1,000 at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd done nothing yet. Literally nothing.
What did you get? So what did you get for the first 3 months?
Nothing. We had like literally we've got this folder. It's probably still on a hard drive somewhere of their like assets that they made for us.
Yeah.
And when they did a handover and they sent us everything they did, it was like an empty folders. It was like branding empty. Like yeah, it literally empty. And so it's $1,000, and we got to the end of we spent $1,000 on this, and we were like, hey, like unless we start to see something, like we want to be booking shows, we want to be doing this and this, like if that's not happening, we can't afford to spend this money on
Of course
this,
not.
because it's $1,000 and we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
And then we had a bit of a falling out because we said that, which is crazy.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't exist anymore, thankfully. But again, like, yeah, and that the person who was running that agency was also a booker for Destroy All Lines.
Right.
Right. So he was going to represent us on Destroy All Lines.
Oh my
What we
God.
do. So we were like super close. Yes, sick. We're about to get booked for festivals and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
At both times, nothing happened.
Oh my God. It's devastating.
Yeah, but the point being that it was just one of those things that, like, there are so many people out there that'll happily take money from musicians and not do anything about it. And I can get that. I can understand it if you want to be in the music industry and you go, okay, cool, I'm going to put everything into this and I'm going to do this full time. So I need to get paid.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I completely get that, but you've at least got to deliver on the things that you're going to tell artists that you're going to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, do it. Otherwise, be someone like you, be an expert. Like Disrupt, I can only say good things about that agency because they actually did a really good job, and I was happy with what they did.
Yeah.
But I cannot say the same for some of the other people that we've worked
You've
with.
worked with in the past.
Yeah, just been rubbish.
It's funny because you would think that, I mean, with the social that you mentioned before, that you had a social media manager and it just didn't work. I am surprised about that because, you know, just purely having someone who is regularly posting on your behalf, so it just takes that element out of it for you. Like it's like we said before, there's just like so many different things that if you want to be an artist, you've got to remember all this stuff. You've got to be posting on social media, you've got to be creating content, you've got to be, you know, making music. That's the most important part. You would be sort of like practicing, working on your instrument. So taking something like that off you, I feel like I don't really understand why that didn't go super well. And you're saying it's because it didn't, they weren't able to like hold on to your brand or replicate, you know, consistently.
I think part of the problem, I don't want to blame them at all. I was going to say, I don't want to blame all of them, but I'm definitely not going to blame them. I think big part of it was we didn't know what our brand was.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for them to.
Yeah.
So apart from us just being able to make content and make it, obviously us just making content, that was going to be at least kind of close to what our brand would be.
Mm-hmm.
If we had one now, I think we'd be much, much, much better off because we would just get them to come to the cabin and make content from that.
Yeah.
And then we get them to come to like recording sessions and make content from that. Because at the time we were literally just posting like, here's our t-shirt, here's a photo of us playing a show, here's this.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't really genuine or connecting with people.
Yeah.
So I think better, probably more important than a social media, if you were to give money, if you were to give $200 a week to someone, which is kind of how much it costs, I'd think you'd be better off giving that as a retainer to someone who's 18 and loves video and film.
Mm-hmm.
And I reckon that time would be much better off getting them to cut up these conversations and cut out and come to the cabin and film all that and make short reels out of that and show, because that can show who we are as people.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that'd be much more worth it as a videographer.
Yes.
And have them on a retainer than a management agency or a fucking like anything else apart from a market. Like if you had a videographer and a marketer, you're sweet.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, you guys can always come in and sit with us, you know, like we wouldn't charge you anything. We can like, because we've got one of the girls that works with us, she does our marketing for the agency.
Yeah.
So she, you know, loves coming up with, you know, new ideas and things like that. And we do have, couple of local restaurants that we sort of help
Yeah,
for
cool.
free kind of things, just for general ideas and stuff. So if you ever want to come in and chat, we'd be happy to.
Sick. Cool. Okay, so where can people find you?
We're Rep Agency, so REP, so it stands for
Yep.
repeat customer. So we have a website, obviously, and Instagram. We also have TikTok, which we post every week on TikTok with a bunch of tips, just like little marketing tips or for ecom. So yeah, follow us.
Sick. And Georgia
And
James.
Georgia James.
I love it. Georgia James on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere.
Georgia James just on Instagram. I am on TikTok, but I love TikTok, but I don't really use it. I feel like maybe TikTok is the way to go though these days.
It's a little bit more easy for. One thing I've noticed, TikTok's a bit more longer form. People are happy to Instagram. It's very
Yes.
like funny reel, funny reel, funny reel.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, there's like people just talk at the camera for 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
it sits in the
For some
thing.
reason, you watch it though. It's weird. I don't know why the change in the platform has sort of like,
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah, you get like
I'm
cancer
addicted to it.
top, and
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. It's wild.
I like the other night, Stevie, my partner, she was watching. She was like stuck in like a doom scroll, but it was like people dying of cancer, and I'm like, "What are you watching?"
Oh my gosh.
It was like cancer talk. Yeah, it was just all
Get
these
off.
all these stories of like little kids with cancer, and I was like, "This
Doesn't
is
she have kids? That would be
huh?
so depressing for her.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, it's like it's
Oh
yeah.
dear,
I was
that's
like,
so
stop
funny.
it. I was
Yeah,
like scrolling for her,
yeah,
but the
get
problem
away.
is you've spent 10 seconds on two or three of them, and now your whole
Yeah, the
algorithm
whole feed is like that.
is
Yeah.
just kids dying of cancer.
I I feel like it might be easier to get a video to go viral on TikTok though. I think maybe because it's still, well, I don't know, relatively newer than Instagram. I feel like it might be easier on that platform.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'll definitely use
People are
it.
kind of moving away from TikTok, from Instagram, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you. That was fun.